Hello, I'm Marcos Garcia Norris. I'm State Director for the ACA Illinois, and today I've been paddling with the guest of the day. A beautiful day has come out for us, and I'm going to introduce you to Scott.
Okay. Well, I'm Scott Hayes. I'm president of the Illinois Paddling Council. We, my wife and I moved here to the Sangamon River in 2006. River's right behind us, and where we've been having a nice adventure on the river. So. And our organization is the Illinois Paddling Council, and the Illinois Paddling Council represents paddlers statewide. And we do a number of different activities that I think we'll cover. The big overview picture is that, generally speaking, anything that's of relevance to the paddling community, from safety to watercraft to events, trainings, and everything else is part of what we try to get the message out about.
So there's definitely a lot of an overlap with what ACA, some of
Oh, yeah.
policy stewardship and all the projects that ACA is doing across US, and you guys are very, very advanced in Illinois and some of
Right.
the projects. I know there's some legislation that you guys are looking at. Can
Oh,
you
yeah.
give us a layman's, because I'm a very basic person, so I need that to be
Okay.
explained to me what you guys are doing.
Well, then it's perfect that we're right here. So this is my property on 3 acres on the Sangamon River, and so we are standing on a private river. So this is my river, and I own this river out to the center line of this property. And when we purchased the property, they told me that, and I'm like, well, what does it mean to own a river? And they said, well, you own it. It doesn't mean you can do anything with it. You can't take the water out of it. You can't dam it up. But I own to the center line. My neighbor across the river owns to the other center line, which means this is a private river, which Marcos and I have just been paddling illegally, of course, because we didn't have the permission of the owners up and down the river before we set out. For the most part, this is not a problem in Illinois. Few people care. We put people on the river all the time. We have launch sites up and down our Sangamon River. But it is legally designated a private river. There are certain rivers in Illinois that are considered to be public rivers. Fox River is one, upstate, the Sangamon River a little bit further downstream. And that's the thing that we're really trying to change, because what the percentages are really interesting. 98% of the rivers in Illinois, with 88,000 miles of paddleable waterways, are private rivers. They're the property of and what that means is somebody is legally trespassing if they paddle past my land on this river. And that's true for paddlers throughout the state and many, many rivers. We have maps available on our website, and IDNR maps all of the rivers. We're putting people on these rivers all of the time. Des Plaines Marathon is tracks through a part of a river that's technically private, even on the Des Plaines River up near Chicago.
You said 88,000 miles
Right.
of river, right? So that took me back when you mentioned it before when we were paddling.
Well, it's really amazing, because if you look at the state, you'll see a state that is actually bounded by two rivers. A lot of the eastern border of Illinois is the Wabash River, and of course, all of the western border is the Mississippi River, and the Ohio River comes down, and they converge at the bottom of the state. And Illinois is interesting because it's sort of like has a bit of a continental divide, and all of the glaciation that makes this part of central Illinois really, really flat. As those glaciers receded, they created runoffs, and all those runoffs became rivers. And if you look at a map of the state of Illinois and all of the watersheds, it's just fingers of rivers that run everywhere. And all these rivers do is drain off the landscape constantly. And Illinois is a very, very wet state. And it's fascinating to look at just how many rivers, a lot of them rivers of the size of the Sangamon and bigger, some rivers smaller, but all very paddleable rivers and a very nice trip, as Marcos can attest. But the bottom line is we have more miles of paddleable waterways in Illinois than any state east of the Mississippi. West of the Mississippi, there's a little bit more, but that includes, river states like Florida.
We don't lack rivers, but we
Right.
really, and this is something that all the paddlers really need to understand, that they might actually be in private water, so they need to know where they're paddling.
Right.
But there's something that you guys are trying to change. So the efforts, where are the efforts at the moment? Where's that?
Okay, well, so for the last 2 years, really longer than that, but the last 2 years, we've really had some significant momentum behind bills running through the Illinois House. So currently, we have House Bill 1873. Session's not over yet, but the bill has essentially been buried. We don't think it's going to pass this session. It may pass next session. So we have been advocating, we have been encouraging paddlers around the state to contact legislators to get them to vote in support or at least sign on as a co-sponsor of House Bill 1873. And that bill will make all of these rivers in Illinois public waters, which they actually are by federal law. And what's happened in Illinois is that the state in 1925 designated certain rivers as public and certain rivers as private, and only a very few were public rivers in that designation. So 1873 is going to change a law in the state of Illinois to make all of the rivers public rivers and open to paddling. Just the rivers, not the land. So the landowners retain, you would still be trespassing if you stepped out on the land of a private property owner. What we're trying to do over the summer is your local legislator, invite them on your river. That's really going to be the key. That's going to be a big initiative for us, is to try to get legislators to experience the beauty of Illinois rivers, is to say, get your legislator on the river, see that they're an asset, for the state of Illinois, because a lot of, when I say that about the rivers, the 88,000 miles, a lot of people are surprised. That's a message we need to get out. Illinois is a paddling state, and it really, really is. There's so much action going on. The more I have learned since being part of the IPC, I know you've learned a lot since being associated with ACA. There's just, it's nonstop information, nonstop activities from sea kayaking on the lakes to paddling rivers like this to even white water in Illinois, believe it or not, here and there.
So I think so. Do reach out. Go to the webpage. See if you haven't sent an email already or haven't contacted your local representative. Do it. We still need to keep pushing that.
We do.
If you do take them out on a river, make sure they're wearing a life vest. That's the only thing where we're going to push. Don't drown your local representative. What other things are you guys involved in? Because I know you take groups. I mean, you organize once a month as an event.
Right. So on the Sangamon River, I'm on the board and help to found the Upper Sangamon River Conservancy, and we do river trips. I've got a whole bunch of boats here that people can use if they're beginners or they would just like to try out, or if they're interested in getting to know the sport. And then we do river cleanups. We even do things like mussel surveys, where we get out and crawl along the river and find the mollusks that inhabit the river bed, do counts, return them to the river, all part of our citizen science projects.
Yeah. And so people can become a member of your group and sign up. So they do that on the webpage.
Okay, so the Illinois Paddling Council, we're really under a push this year to get more and more members. So the website, which I don't think we said, illinoispaddling.org, really simple website to find, and you can become a member through the website, $25. We ask for an annual contribution. That allows you to get more involved with IPC.
But any other projects you have for the next this summer or the next season?
Well, I mean, one of the things we're really trying to promote for the state of Illinois through the Illinois Paddling Council is our racing championship. And so there are 7 races that IPC sponsors, so including the Des Plaines Marathon, and we just had the Current Buster, which I think is already over. So there will still be 5 more races. So if you race in 4 of those races, then we'll score your points based on where you finish, first, second, third, fourth. We have a way of scoring points, and we declare the Illinois State Paddling Champion in different categories: men's, kayaks, canoes, tandem, solos, all the categories, depending on how many competitors we have in the different categories. And then we declare the statewide championship, the champion, at our annual dinner, typically in November. I think we're going to be around November 8th this year. So yeah, the get involved in competitive paddling. It's a lot of fun. Illinois, we call it the Illinois Racing Circuit. Again, that's on the website, illinoispaddling.org.
I'm not so much of a racer. I'm more artistic. I'm a very slow artist with a kayak. So that's what I say. But if I wanted to volunteer, for example, for one day with one of the projects or one of the events, I could also do that without being on the kayak or just
That's
helping
very
around?
true. Lots of, actually the last, Illinois Paddling Council secretary was not even a kayaker, but she helped us out tremendously by helping with, membership support and really just taking stock of the events that are going around the state, making sure we get them listed on the website, looking at paddling news. There's so many opportunities for people to really help out and get involved.
And so one question I ask everyone in this video is,
Yeah,
and you made it so much more difficult now that we know there's at least 88,000 miles to
88,000
paddle.
miles of rivers.
So if you have one free day to paddle in Illinois, where would you go?
Well, I mean, that's kind of an easy question because I'm going to take this kayak and run it down this bank
Right here.
and put it in my backyard. And it's actually hard for me to think about paddling other rivers because when you live on a river, it's one of the most beautiful and blessed things you can do because you have that resource all the time. And so I hate to sound like a homeboy. And I have been on several other rivers in Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and including Florida where I grew up. But
Excellent. Well, Scott, thank you very much for the
okay,
paddle today.
thank you.
And
Thanks
hopefully
for
we'll meet
coming.
on the water.
Yeah, we sure will. All right.